Mavis Sparkle and the Five Wise Owls, a fairy tale by Leonardo Ibáñez. Once upon a time, there was a stubborn girl called Mavis Sparkle. She was on the way to see her cousin Nadim Gower. When she decided to take a shortcut through Greenwood Forest, it wasn't long before Mavis got lost. She looked around, but all she could see were trees. Nervously, she fell into her bag for her favorite toy, Dolly, but Dolly was nowhere to be found. Mavis began to panic. She felt sure she had packed Dolly. To make matters worse, she was starting to feel hungry. Unexpectedly, she saw a wise owl dressed in a blue jacket disappearing into the trees. How odd, thought Mavis. For the want of anything better to do, she decided to follow the peculiarly dressed owl. Perhaps it could tell him the way out of the forest. Eventually, Mavis reached a clearing. She found herself surrounded by houses made from different sorts of food. There was a house made from carrots, a house made from sweets, a house made from muffins, a house made from lollipops, a house made from sweets, a house made from cakes. Mavis could feel her tummy rumbling. Looking at the houses did nothing ease her hunger. "Hello," she called. "Is anybody there?" "Hello." Nobody replied. Mavis looked at the roof of the closest house and wondered if it would be rude to eat somebody else's chimney. Obviously, it would be impolite to eat a whole house, but perhaps it would be considered acceptable to nibble the odd fixture or lick the odd fitting in time of need. A cackle broke through the air, giving Mavis a fright. A witch jumped into the space in front of the houses. She was carrying a cage. In that cage was Dolly. Dolly shouted, "Mavis!" She turned to the witch. "That's my toy." The witch just struggled. "Give Dolly back," cried Mavis. "No on your Nelly," said the witch. "At least let Dolly out of the cage." Before she could reply, five wise owls rushed in front of the footpath of the other side of the clearing. Mavis recognized the one in the red jacket she'd seen earlier. The witch seemed to recognize him too. "Hello, Big Owl," said the witch. "Good morning." The owl noticed Dolly's. "Who's this?" "That's Dolly," explained the witch. "Oh, Dolly would would look lovely in my house. Give it to me," demanded the owl. The witch shook her head. "Dolly is staying with me." Excuse me," Mavis interrupted. "Dolly lives with me, and not in a cage." Big Owl ignored her. "Is there nothing you'll trade?" He asked the witch. The witch thought for a moment, then said, "I do like to be entertained. I release him to anybody who can eat a whole front door." Big Owl looked at the house made from cakes and said, "No problem. I could eat an entire house made from cakes if I wanted to." "That's nothing," said the next owl, and could eat two houses. "There's nothing there's no need to show off," said the witch. Just eat one front door and I'll let you have it. Have Dolly." Mavis watched, feeling feeling very worried. She didn't want the witch to give Dolly to Big Owl. She didn't think Dolly would like living with a wise owl, away from her house and all her other toys. The other four owls watched Big Owl put on his beak, withdrew a knife and fork from his pocket. "I'll eat this whole house, said Big Owl. Just you watch. Big Owl pulled off a corner of the front door of the house, made from sweets. He pulled it down, smiling, and went back for more, and more, and more. Eventually, Big Owl started to get bigger, just a little bit bigger at first. But after a few more forkfuls of sweets, he grew to the size of a large snowball, and he was every bit as round. I don't feel too good, said Big Owl. Suddenly, he started to roll. He'd grown so round that he could no longer balance. Help, he cried as he rolled off down and sloped into the forest. Big Owl never finished eating the front door made from sweets, and Dolly remained trapped in the witch's cage. Average Owl stepped up and approached the house made from muffins. I'll eat this whole house, said Average Owl. Just you watch. Average Owl pulled off a corner of the front door of the house made from muffins. She gulped it down, smiling, and went back for more, and more, and more. After a while, Average Owl started to look a little queasy. She grew greener and greener. A woodcutter walked into the clearing. That's this that what's this bush doing here? He asked. I'm not a bush. I'm an owl, said Average Owl. It talks, exclaimed the woodcutter. Those talking bushes are the worst kind. I'd better take it away before somebody gets hurt. No, wait, cried Average Owl, as the woodcutter picked her up, but the woodcutter ignored her cries and carried the owl away under his arm. Average Owl never finished eating the front door made from muffins, and only remained trapped in the witch's cage. Little Owl stepped up and approached the house made from lollipops. I'll eat this whole house, said Little Owl. Just you watch. Little Owl pulled off a corner of the front door of the house made from lollipops. He gulped it down, smiling, and went back for more, and more, and more. After a 5 or 6 platefuls, Little Owl started to fidget uncomfortably on the spots. He stopped eating lollipops for a moment, then grabbed another forkful, but before he could eat it, there came an almond roar, a bottom bark, louder than a rocket, taking off, propelled Little Owl into the sky. Oh, cried Little Owl, I'm scared of hay. Little Owl was never seen again. Little Owl never finished eating the front door made from lollipops, and Dolly remained trapped in the witch's cage. Tiny Owl stepped off approach. Tiny Owl stepped out and approached the house made from sweets. I'll eat this whole house, said Tiny Owl. Just you watch. Tiny Owl pulled off a corner of the front door of the house made from sweets. She gulped it down, smiling, and went back for more, and more, and more. However, on the next mouthful, the food fell straight out of Tiny Owl's mouth. She tried to stuff in another forkful of sweet, but once again the food fell out. There just wasn't enough room left in her belly. This is just not fair, declared Tiny Owl, and stomped off in the forest. Tiny Owl never finished eating the front door made from sweets, and Dolly remained trapped in the witch's cage. Even Tiny Owl stepped up and approached the house made from cakes. I'd eat the whole house, said Even tinier owl, just you watch. Even tinier owl pulled off a corner of the front door of the house made from cakes. He gulped it down, smiling, and went back for more and more and more. Suddenly, even Tiny Owl stopped eating and started dancing while he danced. He sang at the top of his lungs, "Cakes, watch me, eat all cakes." It looks as though his cakes are making you impractive, laughed the witch. On the "Oh, no, you're not," cried even Tiny Owl. "I'm always this excited." With that, he walked into a tree. Boom! Even Tiny Owl blanked his head and fell backwards onto his bottom. He passed out exhausted. Even Tiny Owl never finished eating the front door made from cakes, and Dolly remained trapped in the witch's cage. "That's it," said the witch. "I win. I get to keep Dolly." "Not so fast," said Mouse. "There's still one front door to go. The front door of the house made from carrots, have and I haven't had a turn yet." "I don't have to give you a turn," laughed the witch. "My game, my rules." The woodcutter's voice carried through the forest. "I think you give her a chance. I think you should give her a chance. It's only fair." "Fine," said the witch, "but you saw what happened to the owls. She won't last long." "I'll be right back," said Mouse. "What?" said the witch. "Where's your sense of impatience? I thought you wanted Dolly back." Mavis ignored the witch and gathered a hefty pile of sticks. She came back to the clearing and started a small campfire. Carefully she broke off a piece of the door of the house made from carrots and toasted it over the fire. Once it had cooled just a little, she took a bite. She quickly devoured the whole piece. Mavis sat down on a nearby log. "You failed," crackled the witch. "You were supposed to eat the whole door." "I haven't finished," explained Mavis. I am just waiting for more food to go down." When Mary's food had digested, she broke off another piece of the door made from carrots once more. She toasted her food over the fire and waited for it to cool just a little. She ate it as a leisure place, then waited for it to digest. Eventually, after several sittings, Mavis was down to the final piece of the door, made from carrots. Carefully, she toasted and allowed it to cool just a little. She finished her final course. Mavis had eaten the entire front door of the house made from carrots. The witch stopped her foot angrily. "You must have tricked me," she said. "I don't reward cheating." "I don't think so," said a voice. It was the woodcutter. He walked back into the clearing, carrying his axe. "This little girl won't fair and square. Now hand over Dolly or I will chop your broomstick in half." The witch looked horrified. She grabbed her broomstick and placed it behind her. Then, huffing, she opened the door of the cage. Mavis hurried over and grabbed Dolly, checking that her favorite toy was all right. Fortunately, Dolly was unharmed. Mavis thanked the woodcutter, grabbed a quilt, and hurried to meet Nadine. It was starting to get back. When Mavis got Nadine's house, her cousin threw her arms around her. "I'm so worried," cried Nadine. "You are very late." As Mary described her day, she could that Nadine didn't believe her, so she grabbed packing